हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गाय नमः। ओम श्री रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यंकरवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। भवानी शङ्करो वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायापतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगताम् अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। शङ्करं परमानन्दं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं यतीश्वरं भाष्यभ्रान्तिहरं वन्दे शुद्धज्ञानैकबोधकम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। We shall begin with the Shanti mantra. ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्ताक्षो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। We shall chant from the 8th mantra of the second section, second chapter. भिद्यते हृदयग्रन्थिः छिन्द्यन्ते सर्वसंशयाः क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि तस्मिन् दृष्टे परावरे हिरण्मये परे कोशे विरजं ब्रह्म निष्कलं तच्छुभ्रं ज्योतिषां ज्योतिः तद्यदात्मविदो विदुः न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चन्द्रतारकम् नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयमग्निः तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति ब्रह्मैवेदममृतं पुरस्ताद् ब्रह्म पश्चात् ब्रह्म दक्षिणतश्चोत्तरेण अधश्चोर्ध्वं च प्रसृतं ब्रह्मैवेदं विश्वमिदं वरिष्ठम् द्वा सुपर्णा सयुजा सखाया समानं वृक्षं परिशश्व जाते तयोरन्यप्यप्पलं स्वाद्वत्ति अनश्ननन्यो अभिचाकशीति समाने वृक्षे पुरुषो निमग्नः अनीशया शोचति मुह्यमानः जुष्टं यदा पश्यति अन्यमीशम् अस्य महिमानमिति वीतशोकः। Hari Om, Hari Om. We have seen two chapters of Mundaka Upanishad in which the teacher reveals the nature, the identity of that Brahma, and also indicates that Brahma as our own self. The teacher also gave the technique of meditation using the metaphor of a bow, arrow and target. So Shankaracharya ji writes in his commentary कि परा विद्या उक्ता यया तदक्षरम पुरुषाख्यम सत्यम अधिगम्यते. So that para vidya was revealed in the previous chapter, by which we come to realize that Akshar Brahma. So yad adhigame hridaya granthyadi samsara karanasya atyantika vinashasyat. And when we come to realize that Brahma, the samsara, the karana of samsara, that is avidya, get destroyed completely. So there is no more samsara for an enlightened person. And tad darshana upayascha yogo dhanuradi upadana kalpana yuktam kalpanaya uktaha. So even the upaya, the technique of meditation using the metaphor of dhanush, means bow, arrow, target, etc. was also revealed. Now in this chapter, the teacher reveals some more sadhana, accompanying sadhana, which one has to also cultivate, some values like satya. In Bhagavad Gita also, when Bhagavan revealed the nature of that Supreme Brahma, in the 13th chapter of Gita, before that he gave a list of what is called jnanam, amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, kshantirarjavam. All these values, when we cultivate, we become fit to gain that supreme knowledge. Otherwise, it just remains as a theory. So here also in this chapter, the importance of Satyam will be revealed. Truthfulness. And the famous statement which is also taken up by our nation in most of the government documents and all, is that Satyameva Jayate. That Satya alone wins. That's also from this chapter. But though the Supreme Brahma is revealed, still it is revealed again in another way. Pradhanyena tattva nidharanam cha prakarantarena kriyate atyanta dukkha grahyatvat kritam api. The nature of that Brahma is again revealed because it is very subtle, very difficult to grasp. So it is presented now in other way. So tatra sutra bhuto mantha paramartha vastu avadharanartham upanyasyate. So the following mantra, the first mantra, is like a sutra to present the topic briefly, which will be elaborated further in the further mantras. So let us chant this first mantra again and contemplate on the meaning. So dva suparna sayuja sakhaya samanam vraksham parishashva jate tayoranya pippalam swadvatti anashnananyo abhichakashiti. Again. Dva suparna sayuja sakhaya samanam vraksham parishashva jate tayoranya pippalam swadvatti anashnananyo abhichakashiti. So the Upanishad tells a story of two birds. So again uses a metaphor to indicate that supreme reality. So there are these two birds, dva suparnau, dvau suparna, suparnau shobhana patanau, suparnau pakshi samanya dva suparnau, having beautiful wings, these two birds. They are sayuja, they are always together. Sayujau saha eva sarvada yukta. And they are sakha, means friends. And what is the meaning of sakha? Sakhayo samana akhyano, samana abhivyakti karanau, evam bhutav santau. They are actually known together, having the same, what you call, some same reference point. See, just as in the world also there are friends who are always together and they are known through similar identity. They have similar habits or something which is related to both of them. Similarly, here these two birds are also friends having similar identity. Samana abhivyakti karanam. They are there is a what you call common factor because of which they both of them get expressed. there is a common factor because of which both of them get expressed. And what is that common factor? Samanam avishesham upalabdhi adhisthana taya ekam. So there is something which is like a basis from where they get expressed. And that basis is indicated here as vriksha, as a tree. So just as one tree is there on which these two birds are there. So both the birds are taking support of the same tree. They are not in different trees. They are taking support of the same tree, means they are both known, indicated through the same tree. Similarly, here also, there are these two birds or two entities as though expressing through the same basis. And what is that basis? Like a tree, what is that tree in this metaphor? So Shankaracharya writes, it is Shariram, our body. So Vriksham iva Uchchedana Samanyat Shariram. Just as the tree also is cut, this body also gets destroyed. But before this destruction, through this body only, both these birds get expressed, both these entities get expressed. And who are these two entities which are expressing through this body? They are Jiva and Ishwara. And how are they? Vriksham parishashva jate, parishvaktavantao suparno iva ekam vriksham phalo upabhogartham. They are together embracing as though each other, enjoying the fruits of action. So here, in order to indicate that Brahma, this metaphor is given here of these two birds on one tree. So let us try to understand this properly. So we have this body, we are aware and we experience our gross physical body. And in this body we are also aware and we experience our senses and our antakarana and our pranas also. These are all within our experience. They are not concept or theories. They are our direct experience. We directly experience our body. Nobody can deny. We cannot say, I don't have a body. So this body is experienced by me. I am the knower of this body. And through this body or in this body, I also experience the presence of our senses. So there are these five senses through which we experience the Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. The ears, the skin, the eyes, the tongue, the nose. The five senses are there. And also there are these five organs of action. The hand, the legs, the speech, the organ of excretion, the organ of urination. So through these organs also action happens. Then we are also aware of our mind, our intellect, and the pranas. So that I, which is there within, who is the knower of all this? Because all this is like a tree only. When you look at a tree, And when you look at the bird is different from the tree. The tree has got various branches and trunk and leaves, flowers, fruits. But the bird which is sitting on the tree is different from the tree. It is just sitting on the tree. It is just perched on the tree. Similarly, I am just seated on this body. I am just taking support of this body and expressing. But all that I see, all that I experience as this body, mind is different from me. So that I am the one bird which is mentioned here, that is the Jiva. So I am the Jiva. But there is Ishwara also expressing in the same body. So what is the difference between Ishwara and Jiva? Jiva is one who is experiencing the joys and sorrows of karma. So here one of the bird is busy eating the fruits. Tayor anya pippalam swaduvatti. So one bird is eating the fruits. Shankaracharya writes कि अयम ही वृक्ष ऊर्ध्वमूल अवाक्शाकः अश्वत्थः अव्यक्तमूल प्रभवः क्षेत्रक संज्ञकः. From a cosmic standpoint, this whole world is like a tree, which is indicated as kshetra. In Gita also Bhagavan indicates the whole world as kshetra. Mahabhutanyahankaraha buddhiravyaktamevacha etc. is indicated as kshetra, which is the support for the jiva to perform actions and experience the different results of action. So sarva prani karma phala ashrayah tam parishvaktav Suparnav iva avidya kama karma vasana ashraya linga upadhi atma Ishwara. So taking the support or holding on to that body as the upadhi, there is that one entity called Jiva, and there is also another entity within called Ishwara. And they are like two friends who have embraced each other. Embracing each other, they are there within. तयो परिष्वक्तयोः अन्य एकः क्षेत्रज्ञः लिंग उपाधि वृक्षम आश्रितः. So this one entity who is identified with the body, the mind, the senses, who is called the kshetrajna, experiences the different results of karma, good, bad, ugly, and that is what is indicated here as that one bird is busy eating the fruits. So pippalam karma nishpannam sukha dukkha lakshanam phalam. So the phala, which is the result of karma, which is sometimes sukha and sometimes dukkha also, having different taste. So aneka vichitra vedana swada rupam swaduvatti. So this bird, that is Jiva, enjoys the results of action. Bhakshayati, upabhungte, avivekataha. So due to ignorance, he is identified with this body, mind, and experiences the results of karma. And what does Ishwara do? Ishwara is also present in this body. Ishwara is also present in the body. And what does he do? He doesn't eat. Anashnan. Anyaha itaraha Ishwaraha. Ishwara doesn't eat. Means he doesn't indulge in any action of doing any action or knowing anything or enjoying anything. Doesn't involve in any action. So what does Ishvara do then? He just present there. And who is Ishvara? Ishvaraha Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhavaha. Who is Nitya Shuddha, who is always pure. Jiva is not always pure. Jiva, identifying with the body mind due to ignorance, appears to be impure, appears to have become impure. Though Jiva also is not impure, but Ishvara is Shuddha, free from all avidya. So Nitya Shuddha Buddha, always wise and always free. Mukta Swabhavaha. Sarvajnyaha, all knowing. Sarva Sattva Upadhi Ishvaraha, and who has got that Shakti called Maya or Prakriti as his Upadhi. Such a Ishvara na ashnati, doesn't eat. So what does it do? By its mere presence, everything happens. Prerayita hi asau ubhayo bhojya bhoktro nitya sakshitva satta matrena. By its very presence, the body, the mind, the senses and everything functions. Though Ishvara himself doesn't do anything, but Ishvara's presence makes everything happen. Satu anashnan anyo abhichakashiti. So without doing anything, it just observes, it just witnesses. It just looks. Pashyati eva kevalam. Darshana matram hi tasya prerayitritvam rajavat. So just being there, being a witness itself, the very presence of Ishvara makes not only this body function, but also this whole world function. Just like a king. The king himself doesn't do anything, but the very presence of the king, all the ministers and everyone, they do their respective work. In the same way, Ishvara is like the king of this whole cosmos. By his very presence, everything happens. This is what Shankaracharya ji has written in his commentary. Now let us do some thinking. Because whatever is conveyed in this Upanishad, we have to understand, and they can be understood. But all this have to be understood subjectively, not as a theory, not as a concept, but actually. So when it is said Jiva, that Jiva is myself. I am the Jiva. So who is this myself? So let us think and pinpoint myself. Okay? So now, let us look at this. We experience our body and we experience this world. So there is an observer within. I am the observer who is observing this world. So there are these two factors are there. Observer and that which is observed. And these two factors alone are indicated in our in Bhagavad Gita also as Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is the observer and Prakriti is the observed. And these two factors are there from beginningless time. Purusham Prakritin Cheva Vidhi Anadhi Ubhav Api. Purusha and Prakriti are both Anadi. From beginningless time, these two entities, two factors are there. I, the observer, and this world which is observed. I, the observer, is also called as Kshetradnya. And this world is called Kshetra. It is called Kshetra, field. Kshetradnya means knower of the field, knower. So I am the knower. Not only I am the knower, but I am the doer. And I am the enjoyer. So I, the observer, am the doer, knower, and enjoyer. So I, as doer, knower, enjoyer, is called Jiva. So let us try to again pinpoint exactly who is this I. So let us first focus our attention on the activities, actions. Simple action we can take of walking. So let us say I am walking. So I say I am walking. So what is the actual fact about it? The fact is this body is walking. You cannot deny that. The body is walking. The legs are moving, the hands are moving, the body is walking. But I, the observer, I, the knower, I say that I am walking. Let us say that a buffalo is walking. You see a body of the buffalo moving. You see the body of a buffalo moving. You say the buffalo is walking. You don't say I am walking. When the body of the buffalo is moving, you don't say I am walking. But when this body is moving, you say I am walking. So one identifies with these activities of this body and says that I am doing those activities. So body is walking, or I am holding something, or I am speaking. So all these activities are happening at the level of the body, and I say I am doing them. Even So there is someone in this body who is doing that activity, I say. But if we analyze our three states of experience, we find that when this body is lying on the bed, I experience myself dreaming something else. I dream that I am climbing a tree, but the physical body is lying on the bed. But I am experiencing myself climbing a tree. So what is that? Actually, that world and that experience is projected by my mind only, and I identify with that mind and say that I am doing that. So the activities of the body as well as the activities of the mind is taken as my activity. Then I go into deep sleep. In deep sleep, though the body is lying down on the bed and breathing also, mind is not functioning, intellect is not functioning. But I am separated from the body and separated from the mind, intellect, and I continue to exist. So that I who continues to exist in deep sleep, separated from the physical body as well as the subtle body, that entity is the Jiva who wrongly assumes the activity of the body as his own activity. Wrongly considers the activity of the body and the mind as his own activity. So that entity is what is called Jiva. That entity is also called Kshetrajna. That entity is also called Prajna. In Mundaka Upanishad, that entity is called Prajna. Same entity, different names. So that entity is what is called Jiva, who identifies with the activities of the body, the mind, and considers those belonging to me. So that is about the activities. Now let us focus our attention on the knowing thing. I also say that I am the knower. See, our eyes has got the ability to perceive color and form. Our ears have the ability to perceive sound. So when the eyes are perceiving color and the ears are hearing sound, I, the observer, I, the Jiva, says that I am seeing, I am hearing. I am seeing, I am hearing. And the intellect, the mind also responds to this stimuli of the senses. The mind is connected to our senses and responds to the stimuli of the senses in the form of emotions. Also, the mind does the activity of thinking. And there is another factor of our antakarana called buddhi, which has got the ability to decide and to understand. That is the very function of the buddhi. So the buddhi, with the help of mind, senses, comes to know things. Knowledge happens in the buddhi. When the senses perceive the world, when the mind thinks, contemplates, knowledge happens in the buddhi. Just like let us say there is a camera. When you expose that camera, the light from the world comes into the camera through the lenses, and creates the image on the film which is there within. In the good old days, those cameras used to be there, wherein we used to put a film. So you just click the shutter, the light enters and creates an image, which is then developed and you get a printout. So all these things happen within the camera itself. The shutter opening, the light entering, the film getting exposed. These are all functioning of the camera. Similarly, our buddhi, like a camera, when the senses give some information and the mind thinks, the buddhi understands, gains that knowledge. So the knowledge is, the process of gaining that knowledge is also a process through our senses, through the thinking of the mind. The intellect finally gains that knowledge. Then suddenly I come and say, I know. So I, the entity, who is totally different from the body, mind, senses, claims that knowledge as belonging to me. I say, I know. I see, I think, I feel, I know. So I consider myself as the knower. And also when the mind, the intellect is interacting with the world, different types of thoughts and emotions come into the antakarana. Happy, unhappy, sad, mad, glad, jealous, frightened. All these are emotions which happen in the mind, the intellect. Then I come in between and say that I am experiencing it. I am happy, I am unhappy. So I, that entity, who is totally separate from the body, the mind, not knowing myself, falsely identify with the activities of the body, mind, intellect, etc., and considers myself as the karta, bhokta, jnata, as the doer, knower, enjoyer. So due to ignorance, I consider myself doer, knower, enjoyer. Though I am not a doer, not an enjoyer, not a knower. This I know with my deep sleep experience, that in my deep sleep, when I am alone, there is no action happening, there is no emotion happening, there is no knowing happening. All these activities are not happening there because they are not in me. So in deep sleep, I remain as only a witness. So that entity in deep sleep, who is really only a witness, having nothing to do with the body, the mind, the senses, who is pure existence, pure knowledge, pure bliss, that entity is Ishwara. And same entity, because of ignorance, is called Jiva. So Jiva is just a name given to myself because of ignorance. I identify with the activities of the body mind and call myself as Karta, Bhokta, Jnata. And say I am enjoying, I am happy, I am unhappy, I am miserable, I am sad, I am mad. But the same I am really that Ishvara only. So both this Jiva and Ishvara are as though embracing each other, because they are one only. But from the standpoint of ignorance, we call it Jiva. But really speaking is Ishwara. Let us take the example of a pot. So there is this space, all pervading space. All pervading space is there. And how many all pervading spaces are there? There is only one. There is only one all pervading space. Can we cut that space? Can we break that space? See, if some object is there, we can cut it, we can break it. But can we cut space? We can't. Can we divide space? We can't. Now we will take this pot, and in the pot also we know that there is space. And with respect to pot, we call it pot space. So this pot space is just a name given with respect to the pot. But really speaking, that space has not become a pot space. It is the same all-pervading space. So the same all-pervading space with respect to this pot is also called a pot space. In the same way, with respect to this body, I experience myself, and at present, as I experience myself in this body, I experience myself as the Karta, Bhokta, Jnata. Now see, that entity who is experiencing this body, this mind, this intellect is called the Jiva or Kshetrajna. When I look at other people, other bodies of animal, bird, plants, I feel that there is a knower in that body also. Like you are listening to me, there is a knower, there is an observer in your body also. Then there is some other person, there is an observer in that body also. So it appears that there are as many observers as many bodies are there. There are infinite bodies, therefore infinite observers seems to be there. It's just like there are infinite pots, so it appears that there are infinite space, pot space. But really speaking, there are no infinite pot space. There is only one space which is infinite. Similarly, the observer in me and the observer in you are not different. I, the observer in me, I am not observing you. I may see that body. I may know that you have a mind. But the observer in you and observer in me are not different. We are same. The space in this pot and space in the other pot is not different. It is the same space. Appears different when we focus our attention on the pot. But really speaking, the space is not different. And that is what Bhagavan has said in the 13th chapter of Gita. The kshetrajñam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. Ki he Arjuna, understand that I am the kshetrajña in all the bodies. I myself am there in all the bodies. So, again, this body is like a tree, and in that there are as though two birds, the Jiva bird and the Ishwara bird. But this Jiva bird and Ishwara bird are two only for namesake. Really they are one only. It is Ishwara alone. The Jiva is Ishwara alone. Aham Brahmasmi. Soham. I and Ishwara are not two different. But to see this oneness, I will have to drop my false notion that I am the doer, I am the knower, and I am the enjoyer. It is a false notion. All activities are happening in the body, but I am not the doer. Knowing is happening in the mind, the intellect, but I am not the knower. Enjoying is also happening in the mind, intellect, antakarana, but I am not the enjoyer also. This I know when I look at myself separated from this, all these upadhis. So in deep sleep, I am not a doer. In deep sleep, I am not a knower also. There is no activity of knowing or not knowing happening in deep sleep, because the buddhi is not functioning. It is the buddhi which has got the activity of knowing or not knowing. In deep sleep, there is no activity of knowing or not knowing. In deep sleep, there is no activity of enjoying or not enjoying. See, very interesting, huh? I consider myself as the doer only when I identify with the body and the activity of the body. I consider myself as a knower only when I identify with the buddhi. But when I drop the identification with the body and the buddhi also in deep sleep, I just exist there. In that existence of myself, when I express, I say I slept happily. So I say that I was happy in deep sleep. So that happiness is my very nature actually. Happiness is not an activity. It is my nature. Knowing or not knowing is an activity. Doing, not doing is an activity. Happiness is not an activity. It is my nature. Being happy, not being happy might be an activity, but happiness per se is not an activity. Therefore, in Gita, Bhagavan says that a wise person is one who can differentiate this very clearly and come to recognize himself as that Brahma. Karmani akarmaya paschet akarmani cha karmayah sabuddhiman manusyeshu sayukta krishna karma krita. We have seen this in the 4th chapter of Gita, that one who sees that akarta, akarma atma, that atma which is not doing anything, even when lot of actions are happening at the level of the body. One who knows that Atma, I am not doing anything. And even when somebody just sits quietly and says, I am not doing anything, that fellow is, since identified with the body, is doing something. So one who understands, separates that Atma from all the activities of the body, mind, and knows himself that I am not the doer, not the enjoyer, not the knower, then I come to understand myself as Ishwara. And that is what is said in these mantras, that this one bird is busy eating the different types of fruits, and the other bird is just looking. And whenever this bird stops eating and looks at that other bird, comes to experience supreme happiness, becomes free of all bondage. Just we have to look at Ishwara who is seated in our antakarana. Ishwara sarva bhutanam riddeshe arjuna tishtati Brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra arudhani mayaya. So I hope you understood what I spoke today. You should respond also. You should respond, you should ask questions, you should interact. Not just be passive listeners. Proactively you should gain the knowledge. Otherwise we tend to forget. We don't remember what we have done yesterday, what we have studied before. We have studied the entire Bhagavad Gita, but many of you might have just forgotten about it. So all these things should be there to get a complete grasp of the subject, to comprehend things properly. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. So many pieces are there. All the pieces we should have, and they should be arranged properly. Then only we see the complete picture. So you should see the complete picture presented in the Upanishads, in Bhagavad Gita, in all our Shastras. Okay? So whether you are getting the complete picture or not, you should respond and tell me. Otherwise, I will assume that you have not understood. So I keep on speaking, giving different examples to convey to you. So you should also respond, write your comments, write what you have understood, or any one point which became more clear. You should write it down. More about this we will see in our class tomorrow. So till then, you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy, do your work, do your sadhana. Listen to the pravachan again. You might have missed some points. So listen to the pravachan again and contemplate, think and understand. Because understanding alone will liberate us from our bondage. Hari Om. See you tomorrow. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Boliye Siyava Ramachandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.